Hello and welcome to another Prairie Bytes tutorial. Today we're going to be showing you how you can open up your data file that's been created by a daily diary logger or even converted from different accelerometry data and open it up within DDMT. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up DDMT. I'm going to use this shortcut I saved to the desktop. We get the intro panel. And then it takes a few seconds to load in, but then we should have our control panel come up. It's worth noting you get two windows. You also get this console running, but please don't close this. Just leave it running in the background. It's for the developer to use. We're only interested in this control panel here. This will probably be your first time opening up the program, especially if you're looking to open up your data. And it's nice just to briefly go over or summarize the actual panel itself. We have lots of different tabs that may not be currently used or used specifically for a specific data set. But if you stick with me and we go through things step by step, don't worry about how overwhelming the program may appear at first. You'll get the swing of things and you'll get the hang of things, especially with these tutorials. So you have an option here to preload GPS data. That will be covered in another tutorial, so we're not going to worry about that orange button here. We're going to stick on this tab. We're not going to use any of the other tabs in this tutorial. And we're going to simply look for our data to open up. You have this quick select option up here, but for now we're just going to use this green button here and select our data file. You're going to be brought to a file explorer, and you want to find the folder where your data actually is. As you can kind of probably see, my desktop is organized like most people's. It's just carnage. But if we look for the folder I have on the desktop here, Prairie Dog data, you can see that we're not able to view any of the files that are currently in there. Now, the reason that is looking for the default text file, and it's listed on this file type. So this is a good example of why you might not be able to see your data. It really depends what type of data you either collected or converted. And you actually have a nice list of different data types, ranging from raw files, which we can make within DDMT, to KSA files, which are files made by the kitchen sink logger. Because we used an Alice logger, we're looking for the .alc files. So if we select that, we can actually view all of our data. So let's just select a prairie dog. Let's just go with collar 1, for example, and we open that up, and it reads it relatively quickly and finds the events here. And we're happy that the data is actually loaded into the program. It's worth noting you can use these quick select functions, might save you a bit of time. So if you know you're looking for .alc, you can select this, or KSA for kitchen sink. The next thing you want to do is you can actually go down these green buttons step by step. So it's told us the file is analyzed and it's given us the location it's analyzed it from. We can then set a working directory. I would always recommend this because it's going to be where the outputs actually go. And it tries to do this by default, but it's not always successful. And a huge issue is people come to me and say, my DDMT is not producing the files I want, it's not producing the outputs, and it's usually because they haven't done this step. So I would always do this as force of habit, even though it can do it by itself. I would manually do it. And then we can actually load the data. So the final thing to sort of go over before we click the load data button is we have the total events here, which I think is around 31 million events. And we actually have the split size, which is 1 million events. So this is how much data it will load up in one time, because it can't load up all of the data in one go. Computers don't have the memory to be able to do that. And it's best to leave it at 1 million by default, but you may want to lower that if you're having issues with your computer or your computer's low spec. And you may want to increase it if you have a really high performance computer and you want to visualize as much data as possible. It's also a good time to talk about events. We refer to time as events because we might be recording in a range of frequencies. An event just refers to one data point, but if we're recording at 20 or maybe even 40 hertz, that's obviously going to range or the amount of events within a second or within a few hours of data is going to differ. Or you could say that the other way around, the amount of time 1 million events covers is going to differ depending on your recording frequency. So I recorded at 40 hertz, so 1 million events should be approximately 8 hours, I think. And finally, we're just going to click load data. It's going to ask you if the recording frequency is correct. I'm going to say OK because it was 40. We have our data opened up in the 3D window or the data window. And we can actually expand that. And we have this really nice helpful text in the way. But we're just going to press H on our keypad to remove that. And here we have our acceleration data. Now, to close application, you don't have access to any X's like you'd be used to with a Windows program, but if we click this orange button, close application, it will then double check we're sure, and we can close the program down. Right, nice and brief, let's leave it there.